Run-ups. You work and work on them and then you still foul in competition. What can you do about that? I've made a number of videos on the channel about how to get a great run-up, where you break it down into 3 constituent phases: acceleration, alignment and attack. And the attack phase must also include how you set the jump up. Those last 3 steps are crucial, as is actually making a takeoff and doing the jump to the pit. So if you do get a chance, do check out this particular video. I've had some very positive comments on it. However, perhaps it's not enough. Not enough when it comes to getting your run-up 100% accurate. So if you practiced your run-up over and over again, done all what I've said, and you're not accurate, what else could there be? What else could be missing? It's not physical, it's not technical. It could be emotional. It could be your mood state and indeed how you are feeling on a particular day of a competition, and even further than that, whether you are male or female. I came across some specific research on the psychological factors of a run-up and whether or not mood state plays a big part in accuracy. The research was in Frontiers in Psychology and was conducted by Nelio Moura and his wife and others. Nelio Moura is one of the foremost long and triple jump coaches in the world, having coached, for example, Irving Saladino and Maureen Maggie to Olympic long jump gold medals in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics. There are videos on his training methods on the channel and you can check out those too. However, let's have a quick look at the research and how you deal with competition and training stresses. I'll put on screen how the research was conducted and who was involved, but suffice to say it was very thorough and involved international and national athletes. So let's take a look at what they found and how that can benefit us as coaches and jumpers. Now, there's a lot to consider, so I will put a link to its entirety in the video description. But let's talk about mood state, emotion and self-control and arousal. All those factors affect how you will perform a run-up. In a competition, your arousal state will be higher and your mood and emotional levels will be affected. Now, research indicates that athletes are better at utilizing self-control mechanisms compared to the general public, and also that athletes that need to hit targets, for example shooters in Olympic sports, are able to exhibit greater self-control. So that indicates that being able to have greater self-control in a stressful situation is trainable, and this is something that Moura and his team looked at specifically. The psychological states of the jumpers were measured by various questionnaires, self-evaluation questionnaires. Now let's take a look at the physical aspects, the actual performance of run-ups in training and competition, and the variables which were considered by the researchers. Again, I'll put those on screen now to save time. However, they did consider the accuracy of the run-ups in terms of proximity to the board, where the greatest margin of error occurred, and also the number of fouls. Okay, let's get to the part you guys are no doubt waiting for. What was found? Emotionally, it was discovered that the jumpers could better utilize emotional regulation tools in order to control their mood states within competition, and in particular females. Females, it seems, were more prone to depression, which could affect their performance. Now, in terms of depression, that could affect how a female enters the competition, whether they are motivated to succeed or more worried about success or failure, more importantly. Do not think that depression means crying, that kind of very emotional mood state. Depression can be caused by anxiety and worry about competition. Therefore, having a positive attitude to competition can better create a mood state which will deal better with competition. It was found that males were better at regulating their mood state coming into competitions and within competitions, and that they had greater self-control. I'm just going to focus more specifically on the research findings in terms of practical recommendations. It was suggested that the environment in which run-ups be performed be evaluated in training, as there were more fouls in training compared to competition, and therefore Moura and team suggested that the environment for training should be somehow changed to be more competition specific. In terms of the physical constraints, factors affecting run-up accuracy, Moura suggests that the first stage of the run-up was where the greatest inaccuracies were found, albeit it should be noted that his methodology perhaps influenced that finding. Therefore, working according to his findings on the first 6 to 7 steps of the run-up and the regulation that occurs within that acceleration phase could better create accuracy for the entire run-up. I want to read what he has postulated regarding the differences between males and female jumpers when it comes to run-up accuracy and mood state regulation, for example, so I don't get it wrong. He says, tailored training based on sex differences recognise and address the distinct psychological needs of male and female athletes. For instance, additional support for emotional regulation may be necessary for female athletes to manage higher levels of depression and tension. It's suggested that the jumpers learn how to develop emotional regulation techniques during training, such as self-talk, for example. Self-talk being a positive way of adjusting mindset to perform positively. So Moura and team are evaluating, suggesting how jumpers can utilize various psychological strategies in training that will benefit them in competition as well. Now, I have looked at some other research out there on run-up accuracy and have indeed looked at research from other sports where accuracy is crucial in terms of a similar run-up. For example, fast bowling in cricket, where visual regulation plays a big part as well. And very interestingly, it was discovered that if the umpire was removed at the bowling end, then this affected the accuracy of the bowler. Therefore, one can postulate that the bowler is referencing his accuracy to make sure that he or she doesn't bowl a no ball by looking at the umpire. Now, that's something that has also come up in long jump research about visual acuity and being able to spot targets and use reference points for run-up accuracy as well. Likewise, where possible, if you're going to compete in a competition with a 3-meter board, then you should practice utilizing a 3-meter board, because the way that you will pick up the board in proximity to the sand is going to have a bearing on how you actually adjust and strike the ball. So those are factors that you can experiment with and work on in training in order to really get yourself more accurate. Another thing that's literally just dawned on me when making this video are the positioning of the judges, and that's in the light of the fast bowling cricket research. Obviously, in long jump and triple jump competitions, you've got judges positioned around the board in most cases, looking, for example, for fouls, and therefore they can act as a reference point that may make your run-ups more accurate. So that could explain why Moura found that there was greater inaccuracies in training compared to competition. And that's just a postulation on my part, but it could be the case. So in training, it could be useful for an athlete or a coach to stand by the board in a similar position to that which the judges do in order to see whether that improves run-up accuracy. Well, I hope you'll appreciate this slightly different video on how you can make your run-ups more accurate. And it's with great thanks to Nelio Moura's research that I was able to pull this video together. If you've any specific questions, then do leave a comment in the section below or through my other social media. Many thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.